So moving season is over. We're at the very beginning of September here, and the moving season over, and we're going to start declining in how many moves. Now, unless you're lucky to be in like the southern states like California, Florida, Texas, something like that, you're going to see a massive decline in the moving business, just because that happens every year about this time, especially when the snow starts to fly. Like December, January, February, it's going to be very, very slow. But can we counteract that? Can we actually make a lot of money and actually thrive during the slow season instead of surviving? Can we thrive? I think so. But let's start with something here. I have had other videos on the subject, and some people, there's been a moving company or two that have taken me up on this idea, but very, very few of you have done so. And I really want to impart to you the importance of being able to finance a move. Because especially in this economic age, in this economic climate, the way it is with high interest rates, high inflation, and so forth, people are not moving as much as they would typically do so with, even just a year ago, right? And a lot of moving companies have floundered and some have failed due to this economic climate, because people are not wanting to move, right? They're in an apartment building right now where their apartment is like, let's say $800 a month. If they move, now they're going to have to do an apartment that's $1,100, $1,200 a month. That's a big hit when you add in the high gas prices, high fuel charges, high food costs, etc. Now, also with homeowners, they don't want to go and sell a house. Their house that might have 1, 2, or 3% interest on their loan, and then buy another home that's at 5, 6, or 7% interest. It really makes it so that nobody wants to move right now unless they really have to. And there are people that have to. There are people that, have lost their jobs and are going to have to downsize. There are people that have gotten new jobs and will need to move across the town or state or even the country, right? There are going to be people that need to move. There are military people. There are kids going in and out of college all the time. So there is always some moves to be done. But the great largeness is that people do not want to move if they don't have to. And if they do, they want to save as much money as they can. This is why, there's a big uptick in the do-it-yourself market right now. Even U-Haul in the truck rental things, they're seeing a massive decline in the amount of rentals that are being done this year versus even last year, right? Even U-Haul is seeing a massive decline across the boards, right? Now, how can we counteract that? And I mentioned to it is by financing the moves, by offering your customer a 12-month, 18-month, or even a 24-month option to pay back on a monthly charge, right? So that they can do their move. And this reason why this is so effective is, one, people love to pay on payments. People pay on payments all the time. Right? You see the subscription model being used through all the large companies, Netflix, Amazon, Facebook. Everybody uses subscription model for their processing. And the reason why they do this is because it's very effective. People pay what seems to be a low charge monthly, like for Amazon Prime, they pay like $12 for the Prime thing, and they pay $12 a month, versus having to pay a larger amount later on or in one lump sum. So by offering this payment option, these payment plans, you can actually create a very good win-win scenario in culture within your company. So what is this going to do for you? Well, one, this is going to create monthly income, guaranteed monthly income. So if you get let's say 10 people paying you $400 a month, Well, then there you go. That's going to be $4,000 monthly that you're going to have access to. And that will help you survive the winter time, the slow season, because now you're going to have that constant income coming in, even though you might not be getting the moving jobs that you would have expected in the prior times, right? So you're going to be getting that guaranteed income. Two, you're going to be charging interest. So if the job was supposed to be a $5,000 job, well, with the interest, you are now going to see probably that job being, paid off in a year and a half to 2 years. You're going to see that you're actually going to collect probably 50% to 100% of what you would have typically think. So after the term ends, or whatever the monthly installment ends, you probably see 50 to 100% increase to what you think. So if your job was 5,000, by doing the payments, let's say they did it 24, you're probably going to get $10,000 in the long run. So that increases your lifetime value of your customer, right? Plus, by doing that, you could offer discounts on storage, et cetera, et cetera. So you could actually use it as a great way to bundle the options and actually make a larger piece of the pie. By doing this, you're also going to set yourself out competitively. Your competitors aren't doing it, and you're definitely not the small or new and small moving companies will not be using this, not because they don't want to use it. It's usually out of ignorance and, quite honestly, stubbornness, right? That they don't want to do it. It's kind of foreign to them. They don't know how to do it, how to solve it. What if somebody defaults? Well, somebody defaults, great. Someone defaults. You put it in it. That's why you have contracts when you do this. And so if someone defaults, then obviously you're going to ruin their credit. You're going to send it to a collection agency, which ruins the credit, and so on and so forth. You might sell the debt to a credit company, and they'll buy it for pennies on the dollars. But between that time, you would have made a good chunk of money, right? And you would have gotten several payments from your customer plus interest, right? So you're not going to lose a heck of a lot of money. You will lose some money, but you're not going to lose a heck of a lot, because ultimately you're going to protect yourself by charging the lump sum plus interest, and maybe even a little 10% to 20%, even 30% bump up from what you would have typically charged. So if it's instead of 5,000, if they do the installments, you're going to charge 5,500 plus 5%, 6%, 7% interest, or whatever the interest rate you're going to charge, right? So at the end, you're actually going to make a lot more money. And so let's say about halfway through, they default and they don't. All right, good. Then you're going to send your collection letters. You're going to do what you think you're going to have you could take them to court, and if you put a proviso in your contract that, hey, if we have to take you to court and sue you for this money, well, we're going to sue you for not only what the remaining of your owe, we're going to charge you 2 or 3 times the amount of what you owe, plus interest, plus attorney fees, right? Well, maybe not interest, because you're already collecting interest, right? So there is ways you can protect yourself. Now, even if they did default, it's not going to be that big of a hardship for you, because if, let's say they did a 2-year term and they canceled halfway through, or they only did a year's, well, you probably got, within that year's time, based on insurance and payments and everything, you probably got a pretty good portion of what you were already going to charge them anyway. So even if you don't collect the remainder, yeah, it kind of hurts. It is a loss, but it's still, you would have collected a good portion of, because you would have been using the interest rates and so on and so forth. Another great reason why this is great, is it keeps your guys employed during the slow season, so that you don't have the problem when you start ramping up for the busy season, for moving season. You don't have to go and find the guys again. You don't have to rehire whole new crews. You could keep your guys on. You could put them on like a little salary or whatever. So it's going to give you the income to come in that you could keep your guys on and pay your guys through the slow months to have them do. And this would be a great way to get them trained up, do more training with them, have them do some sales, do all those good things. So it gives your guys especially your good guys. Maybe you might want to lay off the guys that weren't as good or they were more part-time anyway. You might want to lay those guys, but your good guys that you want to keep around, this gives you the chance to keep them here, keep them happy, and keep them busy, right? So there's that. And finally, another good reason why is if you do have to default on these, you do have to take them. Well, that's a good tax break for you. Now, I'm not an accountant. I can't give you accounting advice. Please check with your licensed and accredited accountant or CPA or attorney on this advice. But based on what I know, you can actually take this off as loss off. If they default and you don't get your payments, you can count that up as a loss, which will help get you more tax savings in the end. So even though you might not have gotten the full payment, because it is now a loss, you'll actually be able to save that on your taxes and you won't be charged as much for taxes. So ultimately, it comes out as a wash. So there's many reasons why you would want to take payments and actually finance moves. One, it's great for competitiveness. A lot of your competitors are not doing this. And this is across the board. You don't have to be just in the moving business. You could be in the lawn care business. You could be in chiropractic business, whatever business. You could be in many, many different business and use this financing option quite often. A lot of gyms use this method. Instead of charging, well, it's going to be $1,000 a year for or a month or whatever. Let's say $1,000 a month. You could pay $10 a month or $12 a month or what for the gym or whatever it is. Planet Fitness does a great thing. They use a subscription model, and basically taking installments is a very similar thing to the subscription model. Right? Alex Hormozy, who's made hundreds of millions of dollars and is very well on his way to becoming a billionaire, this is how he made his living, is offering these installment plans, right? Russell Brunson, another great marketer, he just wrote this book, The Linchpin, and the whole business model was putting people on a subscription model business or membership or community, right? It does create business, and it creates business. Now, there's this thing called churn. Churn is basically that which there's people who come on and then they'll fall off for one various reason or other. So you've always got to be constantly replacing the people and replacing in more quantities than you're losing. So if you got a couple, like 10 people on a 2-year subscription, and the 2 years you're going to lose 2 or 3 people here next month because their installment plan is over with. Well, then you got to put probably another 3 or 4, even 5 people on that subscription to make up for that loss. And that's not hard to do. And it actually makes it very easy to sell these services because people are far more inclined to and indoctrinated into buying things based on payments. Their credit cards are based on payments. They pay monthly payments for their electricity and gas and water. They pay monthly payments for their car, and so on and so forth. Right? So it's not unusual to do this. And a lot of people will find it easier because they don't necessarily have $5, $7, $10,000 to do a large move, right? Now, your more hourly moves, you might not want to consider, that's $1,000, $2,000. A lot of people can do that on a credit card fairly easy, and so on and so forth. And that's another reason why people use credit cards when they do their move, is because by using their credit cards, they can pay that off in monthly installments. This is another reason why you should take credit cards. Right? But for those people who don't want to use credit cards, those guys who think, or they want to just do it by cash or whatever, this is a great way to actually bring in those people and make more sales. So consider using the payment installment method. I would suggest a 12-month, 18-month, or 24-month options for them. Of course, you're going to add the longer it is, the more money you want to collect. Just because in the case of default or something, because the longer it goes, the more likely chance of them defaulting, right? But it gives them a great option to actually pay the the job off, and you'll make more sales, and so on and so forth. And there is a great firm out there, called a great company out there, that will allow you to do it. I'm not affiliated with them anyway. I make no money from mentioning this to them, but the company called Affirm does help with taking installment plans for your company, whatever company. So you might want to reach out to them, find out their services, how that works, right? You could do it in-house, and I would suggest you create a contract with all the terms and policies, with all the clauses that they have. So if there is a default, what happens when there's a default, what's going to happen, how they can rectify it, is if they're got late payments, and so on and so forth, right? And it's not hard. You can go to ChatGPT, put in what you, and ask ChatGPT to basically write you a template for 12-month, 18-month, or 24-month. Make sure that you have ChatGPT include those clauses that you want, and then you can take it to an attorney and have them oversee it. Or you can just pay an attorney to do it, which would cost you a few $100s. But that few $100s is a drop in the bucket when you consider over the long term how much money that would save you and make you. All right, guys, hopefully this was something you learned. You can survive the slow season if you're smart. And I think this right now, since we're just starting the slow season, if you start preparing now, by December, January, February, you should be making fairly decent money and probably even help you guys out. All right, guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you leave me a comment below. Tell me what I missed, or something that I was wrong on. I'm totally willing to hear that. So leave me a comment. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. It really does help me out. And it's one way that you can help support me is by subscribing. And don't forget to hit that little bell icon right next to the subscription button. That way you're notified every time I upload a new video. All right, guys, I like you. I love you. Go and do something great today.